Washington's about compromise. I have a tendency to say what I believe, which sometimes creates spectacular hits on news media websites. My staff likes me to stick to a script, which tends to lessen the excitement. I'm much more of an ad-libber than I am going from written remarks. So the compromise is this: I'm going to keep to my written remarks, but then we're going to have Q&A. And who knows what will happen then? So be please thinking of questions or comments, insight that you might want to share when we get to that point. So, it's an honor to be here and speak with you on an important and fascinating topic to me and to you, I presume, and that's space. The space program is very dear to my heart. As a child growing up in Huntsville, Alabama, I well remember the ground shake and the engines roar as the Saturn V rockets were tested just a few miles from my home in southwest Huntsville, bordering Redstone Arsenal. Today is a very special day for the space community. On this day, 46 years ago, the Apollo 11 mission was launched, carrying NASA astronauts and American heroes Michael Collins, Buzz Aldrin, and the late Neil Armstrong towards the moon. A few days later, history was made when man set foot on the moon. I well remember the pride I felt in America as I marveled at a TV screen that showed Neil Armstrong taking that first step on the moon and uttering those famous words, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Today I'm blessed to be on the Science, Space, and Technology Committee, where I serve as Vice Chair of the Space Subcommittee. A century ago, my home, North Alabama District, was a rural area still struggling to overcome the economic effects and destruction wrought by the war between the states. Today, we are home to some of the defining virtues of the space program. In the 1950s, there was a political fight. My district lost. We wanted an Air Force wind tunnel, which ultimately went to Tullahoma, Tennessee. The consolation prize was Wernher von Braun and the German scientists from World War II. The rest is history. With the help of Wernher von Braun and his rocket team, many of America's most brilliant engineers, scientists, and physicists coalesced at Redstone Arsenal, and the Marshall Space Flight Center was born, which in turn created the engines needed to propel the Saturn V into space. The Apollo program was American exceptionalism at its best. It made all of us, regardless of skin pigmentation, chromosomes, or ethnicity, proud to be Americans. I have a strong hope for the space program. In 2011, the Constellation program and its Mars mission were canceled by the administration. Congress overcame stiff political winds to replace Constellation with the Space Launch System, or better known as SLS. As a result, NASA continues to provide innovative approaches and discoveries for deep space exploration. Among NASA's possible exciting futures concerning SLS are the capture and study of asteroids, that's being advocated by the administration, missions to Moon, Mars, and beyond. And the Space Launch System is the key to how we'll get there. I am confident the first humans to set foot on Mars are alive today. Perhaps one of you in this room. Certainly the spacecraft that will conduct that mission is under development and will soon be ready. Let's talk about the SLS just for a moment. The Saturn V was an awesome space vehicle. The SLS will be more powerful. It will be the most powerful rocket ever launched into space. It will carry the Orion multi-purpose crew vehicle as well as important cargo, equipment, and science experiments to deep space. In the 1960s, we couldn't fathom the kind of benefits we were going to get from our race to the moon. Similarly, I would submit that we can't fathom the kinds of benefits to mankind this spacecraft and its missions will bring about, but if history is any guide, they will be numerous and they will be profound. Earlier this year, the House reaffirmed our commitment to space exploration by authorizing more than $18 billion for NASA programs for 2015 and into 2016. I'm pleased to report that there is strong bipartisan support on the Science, Space, and Technology Committee for space exploration and space science. and that the interests of American leadership are well represented in Congress. As we progress deeper into the 21st century, the science fiction of the past that your parents and I could only dream about has become everyday reality, and we continue to make great technological strides each year. The potential for continued progress is phenomenal, and it can only be realized with the innovative ideas and brilliance of America's rising scientists and engineers. As a little footnote, if you're going to be an engineer, Huntsville, Alabama has more engineers per capita than any place in the United States. And we have a healthy share of scientists and physicists, so you might want to consider there. We do accept the best and brightest. Got to plug my district. Just this week, NASA successfully completed a historic flyby of Pluto after a decade-long journey of billions of miles in the fastest spacecraft ever launched. I'm proud the United States is the first to reach Pluto, and I applaud those who worked hard to make the mission a success. Prior to being confirmed Deputy Administrator of NASA in April, MIT professor Davin Newman led a number of aerospace research labs, and among the projects she oversaw was the Biosuit, a skin-tight modern spacesuit that looks like a hybrid of Under Armour meets Star Wars. Pretty cool, isn't it? The suit uses heat to trigger and lock coils in the garment seams into place, which creates the ideal amount of pressure necessary for astronauts to safely work in space. Private space companies are also consistently making national headlines with their progresses and successes. By way of example, United Launch Alliance, known as ULA, in my district, which by the way has had a 100% success rate in launching America's sensitive satellites into space, has a newly announced next-generation Vulcan rocket with a reusable first stage. SpaceX is testing reusable rockets by attempting to land a rocket on a floating drone ship. The James Webb Space Telescope will soon give us unprecedented images and data about the cosmos. Planetary Resources is pursuing mining asteroids. I appreciate the ideas and the work you advance in the effort to bolster America's leadership in space. Quite frankly, we need more like you, particularly on Capitol Hill. This is why the House passed our bipartisan STEM Education Act, which strengthens federal science, technology, engineering, and math education efforts and ensures that computer science is included in these efforts. Many students are choosing the STEM fields, quite frankly, because they want to have good jobs that give good pay. They have the right idea, and I'm sure many of you know what I'm talking about. According to Forbes, the average starting salary for an engineer fresh out of college is $56,000. Per the Bureau of Labor Statistics, a more experienced engineer's salary approximates $83,000. They're steady, they're good jobs. The money is great, but if you truly love what you do, you will never have to worry about employment because your job is no longer just your work, it's your pleasure. It's an opportunity to bring unique talents to a profession you enjoy, and from the looks of it, there are plenty of opportunities to innovate today, especially if you're working in a STEM, and especially if you're in a space-related field. You're at the point in your lives to pursue something amazing and great that you can be compassionate and passionate about. My sons felt that passion. Both became engineers and have loved every minute of it. My youngest son, Thomas, is a NASA aerospace engineer working in the exciting field of thermodynamics at the Marshall Space Flight Center. No matter your educational technical background, work hard, continue to make advances in your field, learn something new every day, and know that you're reaching for the stars. If you do so, perhaps you can personify the motto of my hometown, which is, the sky is not the limit. With luck, one day you may see your footprints on Mars.